Do you want to go vegan but don't know where to start? Well, you've come to the right place because I put together for you the ultimate guide on how to go vegan in 2020. This is information that I wish that I had when I first went vegan almost 2 years ago. I'll show you resources, beginner-friendly meals, and also tell you where you can get your protein, your calcium, your B12, everything that you need to know to go vegan in 2020. And like I said in the beginning, I went vegan almost 2 years ago, but my journey began way back then. Almost 4 years ago, I started to educate myself on the subject because it was really interesting me, and I started to learn and learn more and learn even more. You really need to take baby steps toward your journey. It can be really scary and daunting if you try to do it all at once, but it doesn't need to be, because like I said, I started with baby steps and I used a lot of resources to educate myself on the subject before taking the big plunge and calling myself a full-time vegan. The first thing that I recommend is to start reading labels. Get accustomed to what is vegan and what is not. With veganism, you don't consume any animal products, so you don't want to eat meat, dairy, eggs, or any animal products like honey. So I really started to just read labels when I was going to the grocery store and figuring out what vegans could eat and not eat. Now that I've been vegan for 2 years, you can read the label really fast. One trick that I have for you is that usually milk and eggs are gonna be in bold in the list of ingredients because they are allergens. I also want to talk about resources that I recommend. There's documentaries that I want to recommend, YouTube videos that I really recommend you watch, YouTubers that are very informational, as well as websites and books. Starting with vegan YouTubers that I really recommend that you check out. Cheap Lazy Vegan, she is a really good recipe creator, all about making cheap vegan meals and that are also lazy. So I really recommend that you check out her channel. Pick Up Limes is also a really great channel if you don't know where to start on your vegan journey. She has a lot of good recipes. I'll link everything in the description down below. On the more informational side, I recommend that you check out Mike the Vegan. He has a lot of good videos on nutritional information about veganism. Also on the informational side, I recommend that you check out The Vegan View. They have really good information about veganism that I think that would be really helpful. Documentaries that I recommend that you watch. Number one is The Game Changers. It has recently come out on Netflix, so you can watch it on Netflix. It is a really good vegan documentary that looks at vegan athletes and their performance on a vegan diet. What the Health is also a great documentary. It's also on Netflix. Forks Over Knives is also another one. It is a bit older, but I really recommend that you look into it. It's a really good documentary for the health aspect as well. Another great documentary that I recommend that you check out is Cowspiracy. It's also on Netflix. It's all about the environment aspect that the meat and dairy has on our planet. For the ethical aspect, I recommend that you watch these 2 videos on YouTube, which are The Best Speech You'll Ever Hear by Gary Yourofsky and also Dairy is Scary, which teach you about the dairy industry in under 5 minutes. For website, I recommend that you check out nutritionfacts.org by Dr. Greger. He is a plant-based doctor and I trust his opinion a lot. He has a lot of great articles on anything that you would like to know about veganism. For books, I have 2 books recommendation for you, which are How Not to Die by Dr. Greger and The China Study. Moving on, let's go over my favorite vegan alternatives and my favorite vegan swaps. What I recommend that you do is to switch out different things in your diet step by step. So for meat, there are a lot of good brands for mock meats, and I'll tell you about some of my favorites. The brand Eve's has the best vegan chicken nuggets. They're so good and they taste exactly like chicken tenders. You won't even know the difference. So if you really like chicken, I recommend that you switch out your chicken for this. If you really like ground beef, I recommend that you check out the Gardein Beefless Grounds. And if you like burgers, I recommend that you try the Beyond Burger. You can try it at A&W or pick it up at your local grocery store. Other sorts of protein sources are tofu, beans, nuts and seeds, quinoa, and lentils. Those are some of my favorites and you can make so many recipes with them. To replace dairy and milk, I know you guys have heard of almond milk. And there's also a bunch of milk alternative like soy milk, rice milk, hemp milk, coconut milk, what else? There's so many types of milk that you really don't need cow's milk in your diet. For butter, you simply need to switch out your regular margarine for some vegan margarine. It's that easy and it tastes exactly the same. For cheese, I'll show you my favorite cheese right here. It is by Earth Island and it is so good. Another alternative that you can also use is nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast gives this cheesy flavors to sauces and you can sprinkle it on everything from pasta to pizza and add it to sauces to make white sauce and make your own cheese if you want. To replace eggs in a recipe, you can easily do a flax egg, which is 1 part flax for 2 parts of water. It is super easy to make and in baking you can't really tell the difference. If you really like your eggs in the morning, I recommend that you try a tofu scramble and I'll leave a recipe down below for that. It is so good, I think that I'll like it even more than real eggs. And my boyfriend never really liked eggs, but he does like tofu scramble, so that's saying something. If you didn't know, regular mayo has eggs in it, but there is an alternative. There is vegan mayo. You just need to swap up your regular mayo for some vegan mayo. The mayo that I like tastes exactly the same as regular mayo. Another tip that I have for you is to find basic meals that you can make that are quick and easy. If you don't know where to start, I have a bunch of videos that could help you. I have a video on the first 3 meals that you can make when you first go vegan, which includes a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. It has less than 5 ingredients and you can make it in under 10 minutes. I have 2 videos like that have less than 5 ingredients in under 10 minutes and I'll link them both down below. If you're more into meal preps, I also have these videos for you and I'll link them down below. I also have a bunch of easy to make recipes that I can link for you down below and also a ton of what I eat in a day if you want to check that out. My next tip is to veganize your favorite meal. That's what I did when I first went vegan. My favorite meal was so easy to veganize because my favorite meal is spaghetti. I know it's pretty basic, but I mean, pasta is life. So what I did is I found a vegan recipe of spaghetti that I liked. I learned how to cook it and it was just a recipe that I would whip out when I didn't have time to cook. So you can really start with baby steps. You can start really basic with 1 vegan meal a week, 1 vegan meal a day, and then work your way up to maybe 1 vegan day a week or 2 vegan days a week, and then work your way up like that to be easier. Next, I want to talk about how to prevent deficiencies and how to get your nutrients on a vegan diet. So I want to touch quickly on protein, iron, calcium, and supplements. First, let's start with protein. The biggest thing that you don't want to do is to just take your current diet and just remove all of the protein from it and not replace it. That is one of the biggest mistakes that people can make. So when you take the traditional diet that everybody was brought up with, it's always meat, potatoes, and vegetables. So you can't just take out the meat and just go ahead and eat potatoes and vegetables or rice and vegetables. You always want to replace your protein source. So let's take for example the meal that I just said. If you have chicken with rice and broccoli, then you just want to take out the chicken and replace it with either vegan chicken nuggets or tofu or beans or something like that that will replace your protein. The biggest tip that you can remember is to not remove your protein but replace it. But also you don't need to eat in this old-fashioned way. You have so many more recipes that you can try. You don't always need to eat tofu, rice, and broccoli. You can have so many things. I eat a lot of pizzas and I eat a lot of pastas. I eat so many good stir fries and a lot of good pad thais and Mexican food, Asian food, Italian food. Guys, I eat so many good recipes and it doesn't have to be boring to be vegan. It can be really delicious. When people first go vegan, their iron can be really low because we all know that meat contains a lot of heme iron, which is not really good for us. What we need to do is to replace it. I have a whole video on how to boost iron on a vegan diet and I'll link that down below as well. But basically you need to replace your iron with a plant-based source of iron. And I don't mean you need to take a supplement, I just mean that you need to eat a lot of foods that are high in iron. And I went over that in my iron video, so I'll link it down below like I said. For calcium, a lot of people say that you need milk to have calcium, but the reality is that cow's milk is fortified with calcium. So when you look at plant-based milk, they are also fortified with calcium. So that's a really good source of calcium that you can have in your diet. But there's also so many plant foods that has a lot of calcium in them. I'm talking about tofu and also broccoli and a lot of other foods that are really rich in calcium. For supplements, I recommend that you take B12 and vitamin D, and I'll explain to you why. Most of the population is B12 deficient as well as vitamin D deficient, whether they are vegan or not. A lot of people like to say that you get your B12 in animal products, but the reality is the animals are either injected with a supplement of B12 or they are fed B12, and the only reason is that natural vitamin B12 is only found in soil bacteria. Factory farmed animals like chicken, cows, and pigs are injected with a B12 supplement, so you're just eating recycled B12 when you're eating animal products. So I really recommend that you go take your B12 from the source itself and not recycled nutrients. So I recommend that you get a B12 supplement, but also nutritional yeast is really high in B12, so you can also eat that and get your daily B12. Another supplement is vitamin D. It is a vitamin that comes from the sun, and we all know that in winter, especially in Canada, we don't have a lot of sun. And vitamin D helps to absorb calcium, so I really recommend that you take a vitamin B supplement. But before supplementing, I recommend also that you speak to your doctor. I am not a doctor, so I recommend that you do that. If you start with small changes and you slowly but surely work your way up into your vegan lifestyle, I guarantee that you will succeed. It is something that I've done myself. I didn't go vegan overnight. I also recommend that you really know your why. For me, it is all about the animals, and when you know your why and you're really attached to it, it will help you stay vegan. I also want to say that every small changes count. If you want to just eat vegan 1 meal a day or 1 day a week, I advise that you do so. I think that small changes are better than no changes at all, and that making a small difference in the world is better than making no difference at all. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe because I upload every week. I'll link every video that I talked about in the description down below. Also, I have a lot of easy vegan recipes that I'll link in the playlist down below, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye! Sugar